What's up, YouTube? So here's another talk with you guys. So I wanted to give you this rundown, a little bit about what my overall freedom of expressions are in this channel. So I have this note card, okay, and I want you to just pay close attention to this, okay, because sometimes, even as a researcher that finds these findings, right, I've taken very strong notice about some of the results I've gotten and some of the overall just like kind of, I mean, it was scary. I'm not gonna lie. It was kind of scary of the results I found. And I have to come from a place of a genuine standpoint because, we're dealing with so many different type of very, very complex systems out there that we don't recognize. Some people recognize it, don't recognize it, but that's crazy. I just see what I mean. I'm not gonna show this just because that's kind of like my finding. But here's this talk. Here's this talk I want to go into. Is that this right here? Okay, I want you to think of this note card. Okay, I remember very, very seldom that when we were during my undergraduate studies and my second form of studies as well. Obviously everything's indicated by what kind of topics you choose, right? And so I remember this very strong presence of like hallucinations, right? Not me, I'm not gonna say that I've dealt with that kind of stuff, but I've had people yell at me out of nowhere. I've had people respond to me religiously. I remember this is a spiritual channel, right? So, religious, very strong presence of like religiosity, even scrupulosity, is very, very strong at times. And because sometimes a person's inclined to feel like they're seeing something that's communicating to them to make them want to respond in a certain way and do something, right? So, I've already debunked the notion that I still find myself interested why I keep doing this, why I keep posting videos. But nowadays in academia and high stress impact, go-getters out there with the research community and all of its like psychiatric community and even evidence-based therapies out there that we seek out. And those of you that don't have, I really, this is just for educational purposes. I'm very, very sure, I'm very aware that our country in various states does suffer for so many things. Like, I mean, you just go to McDonald's, like, you know what I mean? You just go to McDonald's and you don't have to feel distorted, or you don't have to feel like you're living in a delusion. But anyways, I wanted to just reference this note card because normally when I post these videos, they're not always in chronological order. These videos are not in chronological order. But I want to think of this word, this N-O-N, non, right? Non. And I've been meaning to post non on this because think about it, non, how do we understand the non from a spiritual context and also from a spirituality? Because some of us are going to have a very strong internal base of what we know, right? Of doctrine, of scripture, of perhaps even just old beliefs about certain things. So non, and if you read any of the terms and conditions, you'll see that various languages are in those terms and conditions, and they often have, there's a non with a hyphen in it, and it has more words to it, or letters. But I wanted to just focus on that because, I'm going to be posting these videos. I sometimes like to reference the videos that I went back to, and think about some of the things that I've just creatively just came up with, right? And some of them are coherent and also very spiritually motivated as well. So how we interpret the non is up to many of us, because you know, there's a lot of people out there dealing with a lot of different various things. And I think one of the reassurance I've ever had in my life was when a nurse actually validated me. You know, a nurse validated me very well when I was working when I was nursing as well. And I remember the nurse telling me, like, no, some of these professionals also, you know, are dealing with their issues, you know, and sometimes they bring it to work, and sometimes the clients or patients are the ones facing it. But remember, this is for education purposes, and it's also a freedom of expression, because a lot of people out there don't realize that. You know, we strongly don't realize. We feel like everything's invincible. We feel like everybody is never making a mistake in their life. And often that doesn't get acknowledged, you know. Now, if you want to think about the Bible, that's called a revelation, right? Realization of a type of like a aha moment, like, wow, it is sometimes a mistake, you know. But anyways, guys, just want to let you know on that one. But as this car responds, let it pass by. I'm telling you, things out there are very irrational. I know they're gonna I know some of them are going to sometimes escalate because it's irrational. You know, sometimes the brain. I can't. I don't know. I really genuinely don't know. It's a phenomenon. You know, some philosophers have talked about it. There's a phenomenon out there that may be very irrational in terms of its presence, and also its awareness of it. It's very rational. But anyways, remember to subscribe and think about the non. How does that translate to you? Do we become non-projection, non-irrational? I don't know. Remember to subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.